Right, so welcome to a new guide on this channel, and its location is the Delay Brigade from Arturia. This is not a review, it's a deep dive guide about this plugin. Now, everything on this guide is in chapters, so if you look at the description or the timeline, you can jump to a section or skip the ones you don't want. If you like this guide, like and subscribe please, and if you have the money, you can buy me a coffee if you want. Everything is on the description. Okay, so let's begin. This delay is a BBD delay. I guess it's inspired by the Memory Man. Now, if you don't know what BBD means, it means Bucket Brigade. And it makes a reference to firefighters. They would pass buckets with water from one guy to the next one to put out a fire. So the BBD will pass the signal from one capacitor to the next one, generating the echoes. But there is a catch. With each capacitor, the signal degrades and is a dark sounding delay. This is why bucket brigades are still great. The repetitions can sit in the background without interfering with the original signal. Great for solos, vocals, guitars, anything. Okay, so we need to begin right here at the input level. I have a snare right here, just gonna make it louder so we can hear it. And we can hear the repetitions. Now, the input level is really important because if you drive this harder, the repetitions are going to get saturated and overcompressed. I'm going to go up on the input level, and it's going to go louder. Of course, if I adjust the echo level, it's going to sound a little bit different. Now, notice that this one, it's also going up the volume of the dry signal. So you need to kind of be aware of this. Now, the echo level and how this unit works, and the original one, is that you get your input, but you also get the echo level. So if I go all the way down, there is no repetitions. You don't get repetitions. If I go all the way up, you're going full volume, but you just can, tame your repetitions and go lower the volume so they can, you can have a better blend between the dry and the repetitions. Still, you have a blend right here. So Arturia, when they create plugins, they always kind of give us an emulation of something, but then they give us modern features. So the blend, it's kind of a modern feature. So we can go wet all the way. So you can use this delay on a bus or maybe do a little bit of parallel processing, and you just can go all the way to the blend and use it in that fashion. Right here, you get the time controls, very standard for a delay. And again, Arturia gives us modern features. On the original units, you don't get a left and a right. You don't get the stereo delay. But in this one, you do. You can still use it by linking, the left and the right and getting your repetitions. But what you can do, you can unlink and offset the left repetitions from the right. So by doing this, you're going to be offsetting the speeds of the left and the right. And this will give you, of course, different movements, and it's gonna give you a little bit of space. It's gonna make everything wider because, the repetitions are different from the left and the right. There is a difference. Now, whenever you link, if this is really, maybe all the way up and you link it, it's gonna go back to follow this one. So it doesn't matter what you're doing right here. When you link it, it goes back to being aligned with the left delay. So by default, it goes in values. It doesn't say right here, which is a little bit weird. This is, something that could be changed. It's going from 0 all the way to 1. We don't get the milliseconds. It would be great to get the milliseconds, but just, we don't get it. Now, still, you can go right here at the bottom, and you can sync it and use divisions. So, yeah, so you can be a little bit more precise in whatever it is that you're doing. Right. So, notice that if I'm gonna go to off and go all the way up. So this is as far as we can go with the delay time. If I play it, it's just not a super long delay. It's actually pretty short, right? If I make it shorter, it's just gonna be super short. So the thing is that the original unit, it's just a vintage pedal. We don't get like 5 seconds of delay. We just don't get it. So right here, you get to change the times a little bit. The deluxe is going to be from 40 to 400 milliseconds, and the deluxe is going to be, a lot longer. So now if I go all the way up and I do deluxe, it's going to sound like that. But if I go to this one, it's much longer. So it depends on what you want to do. Maybe you want a long delay or short delay. You can change it from here. All right, so I'm going to go back to a default patch. And notice that it's a pretty simple unit. Now we have extended controls right here at the bottom. So right now we are doing left and right, right? And we know that we can offset this one just by a tiny little bit. And then, we are going to be getting a white stereo spread. Now, still, you can go right here and this is going to do it for you, right? So you don't need to go and offset this. You can do it with this one. Going to negative values is going to offset it more. Or if you go to the positive, it's the same thing, but the controls are inverted. For example, when I do this, if you take a look at the vector scope, maybe I'm gonna make it slower so we can really see it. I'm gonna play it. Notice that first it's hitting the right side, and then it's going to the left, and so on. So if I go to the other side, now first it's gonna hit the left, and then it's gonna go to the right. This is the main difference. It's just the same deal. The thing is that you need to use it maybe to offset it just a tiny little bit. If you do too much, it's like offsetting these controls too much. So I'm going to go back to default. Now, this is your stereo width. So it got nothing to do with the times. With this one, what you're doing, and when you're offset it, you are, setting the different times for the left and the right. Now, the width is not. This is just a widener. So right now, I have the snare. It sounds pretty wide. I can go all the way down. And now the repetitions are going to be mono. You can see it right there in the vector scope. If I go all the way up, you're just making them wider, but we are not messing with the times. It's just a completely different process. So this is like a stereo width plugin, a widener, something like that. Right, so back to a default patch, then we have the chorus and the vibrato. Now, one of the cool things that the original unit, had and still has, because you can go to the market and buy a Memory Man, is the chorus repetitions. Yeah, it's something, back in the day was, something new and really cool. Nowadays, it's just something very common. But on this one, again, you get the chorus and you get the vibrato. I'm going to be changing the sound source. I'm going to be using something with, more, not something so percussive so we can hear the chorus. So right now it's off. I'm going to turn it on. You can turn it off and turn it on from here. So we get the repetitions. I'm going to go to the feedback, which is something we didn't, discuss because it's maybe too obvious. Going up on the feedback, it's going to give you more repetitions or just less repetitions. And since this is a Arturia Brigade, going all the way up is going to take you to this. So you need to kind of adjust the feedback until, it sounds the way you want to. Now still, we're gonna use the chorus. So again, what it will do, it will apply a little bit of chorus to the repetitions. So as soon as I go up, you can start noticing the difference. I'm gonna go up. So notice that there's a little bit of movement. It's not super static anymore. If I go down, go up, I'm gonna do some chords. If I go down, super static, right? I'm gonna do the same, but I'm gonna go up in chorus. So, yeah, we can hear the repetitions doing the chorus. If I go all the way up in the blend, and I just get the original signal, this is the wet signal, this is how it sounds. Going all the way down, static. So this is what the chorus will do, will give you a little bit of movement on the repetitions. Now, the vibrato, it's pretty much the same idea, but now it's just going to be a vibrato, and the effect is completely different. Now, I'm going to go all the way up, and it's going to be a little more aggressive on this side. If I go all the way down and do it again, right, so, that's going to be the effect. You need to choose your poison right here. Now, I'm going to go back to a default patch, and so far, I'm kind of going fast through all of this because the most complex section is going to be the advanced. All of this is just pretty simple, right? This is a weird little thing that they give us. You get left and right, which is what we've been using, and this is the normal type of delay, right? We have stereo source or a mono source. It's just going to delay it, right? Pretty simple. Now, then you have ping pong, and then ping pong is just a ping pong. We can see it right there in the spectrum. It is doing some ping pong. Now, but then we have the MS, and what the F is MS. So this is for mid and the side. Now notice as soon as you change it from the left and right to ping pong or MS, it's going to change the names right here. Instead of saying left and then saying right, it's going to say mid and it's going to say side. So this is going to listen to whatever is that you're feeding to the plugin. If it's a mono source, you will get it on the mids. And if it's a stereo source, you're going to get mid and you're going to get side information. So I'm going to go to my synth and I'm going to make it super mono. So if I play it, I'm going to show you that it's super mono. It's right dead in the center. So I'm going to enable this. Now I'm going to keep it in MS and we are doing some delaying and I'm going to maybe go up on the feedback so it's just a little bit more obvious. I'm going to be playing something. So we get some repetitions, right? That's cool. Now notice that everything is dead center. And it's because my synth is a mono synth, right? It's dead in the center. So this is what it's doing. It's listening to the mid information, right? What's dead in the center. And it's delaying, applying a delay on the mids. But then if I make my synthesizer stereo, then it's going to be wide. And it's because it's delaying the side information. So if we have the mid and the side on the same spot, it's just like, doing left and right pretty much. But since you can offset the mid, the side, the left, or the right, you are going to be getting maybe some type of delay time on the mid, and you can do something completely different on the sides. And this will give you a different movement between your center and your sides. If I make it longer and shorter on the mid, this is what you get. You get a shorter repetition in the mids, and the sides, it's just a little bit slower. And just by doing this, you get different sounds, different delays. I'm gonna make it a little bit larger on the mid, and I'm gonna just extend it on the side so we can do that feedbacking. Right? So right here, you just need to do some fooling around and just play with the mid and side and the feedback, but make sure that you have mid and side information. You have a stereo source. If you have mid, it's just gonna do a normal mono delay. Now still, you have a lot of features right here. I'm going to go first to a default patch. You have a lot of features right here like the input equalizer, the envelope follower, and the LFO. Now these are features that you might never use in your life if you just want a simple bucket brigade delay. But still, you get them. Now the input equalizer is just an EQ, and it gives you a range of cutting, a filter, a low pass, and high pass, and you can also peak at a certain point. Now this one, it's an input equalizer. It's not an output. So it means that it will equalize the signal before getting delayed in the ones that get that before going to the feedback loop and gets delayed. And it's not equalizing the output. And this is completely different because since we are maybe going to chop lower frequencies or high frequencies or peak, the repetitions are going to sound very different from the original dry signal. For example, I'm going to be doing some cutting. If I cut the lows, and I'm cutting a lot just to make it obvious, that is that the repetitions sound very thin. It's because I'm chopping all the lows. Now you can chop the highs and make it even more kind of a darker. Yeah, you can do that. Why not? And then the other thing that you get is a peak EQ. So what you need to do is you need to pick your frequency, right? Whatever you want to peak it. This is just like an EQ. So right here, I can just boost that signal or I can cut it. If I peak around, I don't know, 1, maybe 3K or something like that, and then maybe I'm going to leave it like that, it's just going to affect the repetitions because we are boosting a part of the signal. If I do nothing or maybe just 0, nothing happens. If I boost like crazy, this really affects the repetitions. So also what you can do, you can cut. If I go all the way down, it's dulling, the 3K range. Now you also have a Q. So the peak is going to be, rounded, which is going to be a wide boost or cut, or it's going to be a narrow boost or cut. If I go wide and I do a peak K, something like maybe 16, I don't know. It's completely different. If I go all the other way, this is wider, right? We can hear that it's really white. Now, if I go there again, that is the peak. It's like adding filter. And we're just boosting that tiny little range. So you can adjust your cue just to focus on your frequencies and, just get what you want. Alright, so the envelope follower and the LFO are not super common, right? These are just additional things that we get, and they are modulation sources we can use to modulate something. So we need to, do something with the controls, then send it to a destination, and that destination is going to be modulated in some fashion. For example, let's say I want to modulate the feedback with the envelope follower. Well, it's going to do something like this. It's like manually doing something like that, for example. So we can use this to our advantage to create original sounds, to get cool delays that we just don't get with the normal controls. All right, so I'm going to be doing feedback around, I'm going to go all the way up. So if I play it, it's going to get into a point where it's going to get really uncontrollable. We know this. So I'm going to need to manually go right here and turn the feedback down just to get it back to normal. Now, what we can do, maybe we can listen to the input source, and when we stop playing, maybe we want to back it down. So we can outsource this type of, thing with the envelope follower. So I'm going to get the feedback around maybe here. If I play something, it's not going to feedback like crazy, but maybe what I want to do is that when I press a key and hold it, I want the feedback to go all the way up, and when I release the keys, I want it to go back to the normal position. So the envelope follower is going to listen to whatever you're inputting, right? Whatever signal you're using, in this case my synthesizer. And it's going to react to that. It's going to create an envelope behind the scenes, and then it's going to modulate this control. The feedback is going to modulate it up, or it's going to modulate it down, following the envelope. That is why it's called envelope follower. If I play something right now, the sensitivity, it's all the way down. So this is how the envelope follower reacts to your input signal, to your original dry signal. If I go up on the sensitivity, at some point, it's going to start picking it up. And this is how the envelope would look like. That's why you get these controls, right? So I'm going to set it around there. It's just getting full. And then the attack is going to be how fast it's going to react to whatever input source you get. And this is going to be, the final envelope. So if I do a fast attack and a fast release, everything is going to be super fast. And you're going to see it in the lights right here. Goes really up, really aggressively, and then goes down really fast. If I do a slow, then there is a kind of a motion right here. It slowly goes up. And it's less reactive to your peaks. So I'm going to still now going to go too fast. And on the release, if I play it and I release the keys, it's slowly going down. So we will get like a peak, a large peak, and then it's going to slowly go back to the feedback. It's going to go really hard, and then it slowly goes down. If we do it the other way, and I'm just explaining this because maybe you just don't have a lot of experience, and maybe you don't know how this works. That's why I'm explaining it. This is a deep dive. It's not a review. So if I do a slow attack, it's going to be less reactive to your peaks. So the feedback is going to slowly go up, and then if we have a fast release, it's going to go fast down, right? So this is, what we want to achieve. Now, in this case, I'm going to go all the way, maybe slow, fast, and all the way fast on the release. And what I want to play a key, and I want to go up on the feedback. So now I need to say, okay, so I'm going to be going full up whenever this envelope follower picks that signal up. So I'm going to be going right here, and we need to select a destination. What do you want to modulate? In this case, it's going to be the feedback, right? So I'm going to go to feedback and play it, and I'm going to press and sustain. So if I press and sustain, we can hear that it's feedbacking. I'm going to release the keys in 3, 2, 1, and the feedback goes down to the original position. Now we can do the opposite. Maybe we start crazy, and then I want to go down to the feedback. But this is not feedbacking, and when I release the keys, it goes back to feedbacking like crazy, right? I'm going to play it, it goes down, we are not going crazy, I'm going to release it, and then it's going back to doing a lot. But this is how you can use the envelope follower to, create different things. Let me just give you a different example. Maybe I want to do a little bit of pitch detuning. And this is a bucket brigade delay. If I place something like this and start modulating the time controls, we're going to get the delay. The delay is going to try to adjust the times behind the scenes, and we get that pitch detuning. But maybe we can outsource this information, this motion with the envelope follower. Why not? So I'm going to go to sensitivity. I'm going to make it slow attack and maybe a slow release, something like that. And what I'm going to do, maybe I'm going to stand right here and I'm going to go all the way up, and we need to select the source. So maybe it's going to be delay left and right. And if I play it, right, it's going up, and when I release it, it's going to pitch down, right? Right, so you can use, again, all of this just to create really cool, uncommon, repetitions. Okay, so now we need to talk about the LFO. Now, the envelope follower, it uses your sound, your original input, your signal, to create an envelope, to create a motion. Now, the LFO doesn't need anything, right? This one needs something to create the envelope. But the LFO is a constant instruction. For example, it's going to go up and down, and you have different shapes. And, we can have a saw, we have a ramp, we have a triangle, a square, and sample and hold, it's going to be random. We're going to, maybe test it in a few seconds. But the thing is that the LFO doesn't need your input to create a motion. It only needs to be turned on. So maybe what we can do with the LFO, we just can create a little bit of motion. That's the plan. And I'm just going to give you maybe, let me just give you a different example. I'm going to, again, go to a default patch. We are standing right there. And this is how fast it's going to go. You can sync it or go in milliseconds, or in this case, hertz. And the amount is going to be how much of this LFO you're going to be applying. Now, still, you need to set something. You need to select something. I'm going to do delay left and right. And I'm going to go maybe 2 more mix so we can really hear what it's doing. I'm going to be playing a key. And this is what it does. So we're using a sine wave. So the sine wave slowly goes up smoothly and goes down. That's why we have this shape. This is how fast. So if we go faster, it's going to do it faster. If you go there, you're going to get like that, or maybe you can go slower. The amount is how aggressive you are. You go really up, it's going to go up and down. So what it's doing behind the scenes, again, is like doing this, right? It's like doing that. So if I go less, it's going to be tiny little movements because we're doing less. It's going to be less aggressive. Now, all of this mixed with all the different controls, maybe the offsetting can give you really cool delays. So maybe I'm going to go there and do... Right, sounds really vintagey with the chorus and the movement on the pitch, because we are doing a little bit of pitch detuning with this. Now, you can use all the shapes. Maybe I'm going to go just disable this and just go to whatever we had from before. Right here, you have different shapes. So if I go aggressively, this is what happens. So it's following this shape to do the motion. Starts very aggressive and then slowly goes down. Really aggressive and slowly goes down. The other one is going to be the opposite. It's going to slowly go up and go back really aggressive. And the triangle is almost like a sine wave, but it's going to be a linear up and linear down. We don't have a curve. The square is like an on and off. It's on, off, on, off. And the simple and hold is going to be random. It's a way of random. So sometimes it's going to be, all the way up, and sometimes in the middle. So you're going to start getting different shapes. Now, you can use this to whatever you want. So let's say that maybe we want to use it for something simple. Like, for example, going to the echo level. And let me find it first. There you go, the echo level. So this is going to be the echo level. Right now it's all the way down. Right, all the way up, sorry. So we can use maybe a sine wave. And I'm going to go all the way up. All the way up in the mix. So it's wet only. So what do we get? We get a tremolo. So we can create a tremolo effect only on the delayed signal. Then we just blend it with the original one. And then again, all of this and the offset and the chorus and all this functions, it will give you something else, something, a little bit more unique. And maybe I'm doing too much. Right, so you can go and sync, right, and just tie it to whatever track you're doing. Right, so this is the whole plugin, and it's a very, very simple plugin because you have very simple controls, but you have extended controls. So you could use it either for, just a normal standard BBD type of delay, or you can just go and explore it a little bit more. All right, so hopefully you learn how to use the controls and everything else. And if you liked all this and you learned something, remember to like and subscribe. And if you have the money and you want to buy me a coffee, of course you can. Go to the links at the description, and you have PayPal, you have Patreon, and you have YouTube. Thanks. All right, so see you on the next one.